Om Ajnanaatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakhaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadatvi Swapadantikam. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. When will Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, who has established within this material world the mission to fulfill the desire of Lord Chaitanya, give me shelter under his lotus feet? So today we just had the Purushottam month, so we will read something from the Yoga of the Supreme Person, Purushottam Yoga. It is 15th Adhyaya, chapter 15. Okay, so I will read first and then you can repeat. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Urdhvamulam Adashakam Ashvattam Prahuravyayam Chandamsi Yasya Parnani Yastvam Veda Savedaved. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, it is said that there is an imperishable banyan tree that has its roots upward and its branches down, and whose leaves are the Vedic hymns. One who knows this tree is the knower of Vedas. Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. After the discussion of the importance of Bhakti Yoga, one may question, what about Vedas? It is explained in this chapter that the purpose of Vedic study is to understand Krishna. Therefore, one who is in Krishna consciousness, who is engaged in devotional service, already knows the Vedas. The entanglement of the material world is compared here to a banyan tree. For one who is engaged in fruitive activities, there is no end to this banyan tree. He wanders from one branch to another, to another, to another. The tree of this material world has no end, and for one who is attached to this tree, there is no possibility of liberation. The Vedic hymns meant for elevating oneself are called the leaves of this tree. The tree's roots grow upward because they begin from where Brahma is located, the topmost planet of this universe. If one can understand this indestructible tree of illusion, then one can get out of it. This process of extrication should be understood. In the previous chapters, it has been explained that there are many processes by which to get out of material entanglement. And up to the 13th chapter, we have seen that devotional service to the Supreme Lord is the best way. Now the basic principle of devotional service is detachment from material activities and attachment to the transcendental service of the Lord. The process of breaking attachment to the material world is discussed in the beginning of this chapter. The root of the material existence grows upwards. This means that it begins from the total material substance, from the topmost planet of the universe. From there, the whole universe is expanded with so many branches, representing the various planetary systems. The fruits represent the results of living entities' activities, namely religion, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation. Now, there is no ready experience in the world of a tree situated with its branches down and its root upwards. But there is such a thing. The tree can be found beside a reservoir of water. We can see that the trees on the bank reflect upon the water with their branches down and roots up. In other words, the tree of the material world is only a reflection of the real tree of the spiritual world. This reflection of a spiritual world is situated on desire, just as a tree's reflection is situated on water. Desire is the cause of things being situated in this reflected material light. One who wants to get out of this material existence must know this tree thoroughly through analytical study. Then he can cut off the relationship with it. This tree, being the reflection of the real tree, is an exact replica. Everything is there in the spiritual world. The impersonalists take Brahman to be the root of this material tree. And from the root, according to Sankhya philosophy, come Prakriti, Purusha, the three gunas, then the five gross elements, Pancha Mahabhuta, then the 10 senses, Dasendriya, mind, etc. In this way, they divide up the whole material world into 24 elements. If Brahman is the center of all manifestations, then this material world is a manifestation of the center by 180 degrees. And the other 180 degrees constitute the spiritual world. The material world is the perverted reflection. So, the spiritual world must have the same variegatedness, but in reality. The Prakriti is an external energy of the Supreme Lord, and Purusha is the Supreme Lord himself. And that is explained in the Bhagavad Gita. Since this manifestation is material, it is temporary. A reflection is temporary, for it is sometimes seen and sometimes not seen. But the origin from whence the reflection is reflected is eternal. The material reflection of the real tree has to be cut off. When it is said that the person knows Vedas, it is assumed that he knows how to cut off attachment to this material world. If one knows that process, he actually knows the Vedas. One who is attracted by ritualistic formulas of the Vedas is attracted by the beautiful green leaves of the trees. He does not exactly know the purpose of Vedas. The purpose of Vedas, as disclosed by the personality of Godhead himself, is to cut down this reflected tree and attain the real tree of the spiritual world. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. So all the philosophy is there in this verse. The entire philosophy is there in this verse. So material world is just like the spiritual world, but it is inverted. Everything is 180 degrees apart. Everything is confusing here. In spiritual world, everything is clear. Everything is good there, everything is bad here. So we need to get out of this material world by doing what? No, but before that, what does Prabhupada say? Detachment? Cut off this tree, he says. How many times did he say that? Cut off this tree, right? In the end, he says, the purpose of Vedas as disclosed by the personality of Godhead himself is to cut down this reflected tree and attain the real tree of the spiritual world, right? So, we are basically in this reflection. We are not in reality. So, we have to get out of this reflection. And it is so difficult to get out because everything appears so real. Everything appears so real, right? Unless the Lord gives you the mercy to see that this is the reflection. Every now and then you will get glimpses of that.
What we are seeing is artificial.
You can say artificial, but it's a reflection. So when there is a reflection in the water, right, and you touch it, like you have some water vases in your home, you may put some flower, there's a reflection of the roof. You want to touch that. When you touch it, what happens? It goes away. Same thing like this here. And that's why people become crazy. Yesterday we saw some crazy people in the university district. We were serving out prasadam from the food truck. So one lady took some prasadam, she was walking, and some other homeless guy, he made some bad remark about her. So she took pepper spray and sprayed in his eyes. And he was crying, and then 6 policemen came and fire truck came. So much. Right? So he wanted to do something which is not real, and he got so much reaction back in a matter of few minutes. Right? And he wasted so much of public money. The fire truck has to come, police has to come, right? Instead of solving some real problem somewhere. So you may want to enjoy something, but it is not going to happen. Anything you want to enjoy, it will be taken away. Right? And people say, why is God so cruel? I wanted this, but I didn't get that. Right? Somebody wants to be a doctor, they become a nurse. Somebody wants to be computer science and they'll end up in civil engineering. Right? You'll see this all the time. You want X, you'll get Y. Guaranteed. From my experience in the life. I wanted to be somewhere else, I am somewhere else. And that's totally okay, but you will not get what you want. That's the definition. Why? Because it's a reflection. It's not reality. It's not reality. Right?
I was thinking about this today. I was comparing with this music. In Carnatic music, there is basic raga. Right? So these movie people, they build the songs based on that raga.
Rag, but then they add so many things.
Yeah, after some time, this movie song will go off in the But this Carnatic, the original raga.
The original raga will always remain. Yeah, because the original ragas come from the Rig Veda.
Yeah.
So Vedas are eternal, but all the concoctions, modifications will go away. Right? Since Krishna came 5050 years ago, so many people have tried so many different things, but still we are following this. Why? Because this is the basis. You may want something hip hop, modern added to it, but it won't stay. It will go away after some time. So, Prabhupada says this process of extrication means pulling yourself out from this material world should be understood, he says. In the previous chapter, it has been explained that there are many processes by which to get off material engagement. So, what are the processes in the previous chapters to get out of material world? Karma Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga. So many processes are described. Then why is Krishna giving a new process? This is a new process he's giving here. What does he say? Up to 13th chapter, we have seen devotional service to Supreme Lord is the best way. Now the basic principle of devotional service. He said devotional service is good. But what is the principle? What is the process? Is detachment from material activities and attachment to transcendental service of the Lord. So if we are fully convinced, we'll just forget everything. We'll just be 24/7 focused on the Lord. We are not fully convinced. That's why we are unable to do that. I mean, we are temporarily convinced during the Bhagavad Gita class or during the Kirtan. You feel like, yes, let me do it. And then you leave this room. Some other imperative kicks in. Somebody will say, your wife will call and say, on the way back, get some peanut oil. So from Krishna consciousness, now we have become peanut conscious. But peanut oil is required. Otherwise, how are you going to cook? So that's the dilemma. So therefore, we buy the peanut oil, cook and offer it to the Lord, and somehow connect, dovetail. They are different terms. But sometimes what happens? The dovetailing is 10% and 90% is something else. No, sense gratification. Even if you are not doing sense gratification, it is still not fully devotional service. You see the point? Initially sense gratification. Then you will reduce. But you have not increased it to a point where it becomes full devotion. So, the reality is a little far away. For all of us, actually, And if we are struggling so much, think about the average person on the street. How much more they are struggling. So, pepper spray and ice burning and so much misery in the world. So, the process is given. Now we have to, we know the goal, we know the process. Now we have to start doing it. Srila Prabhupada continues. This reflection of the spiritual world is situated on desire. Right? What does Gautam Buddha say? Desire is the root of all misery. Forget liberation. Even the miseries come from desire. If you didn't desire, then there is no misery. Right? If you don't want seat in IIT and you don't get it, then you are not crying. You want seat in IIT and then you get a seat in Jagadamba Institute of Technology in some corner of some small town. Alright? So then because of the desire, then you are miserable. Huh?
They get in the next, maybe let's say a 90s or something, then they're miserable.
Misery is because of this desire. So Prabhupada says, desire is the cause of things being situated in the reflected material right. So we are desiring because we are in this reflection. Well, illusion, yes. But what is that illusion? That illusion is that reflection we are thinking is real. Right? Actually, nothing is real here, right? This mic will stay for how long? Will it stay for 10,000 years? No. It will be broken in 4 or 5 years. Then we will put it into some recycle bin and it will be melted and it will become something else. Right? So nothing exists forever. Reflection also exists for some time, but after that it will go away. It's like a mirage in the desert. So our reality is there, but for how long it will last? It's temporary reality. That's why Srila Prabhupada says temporary. This material world is temporary. He doesn't say this is illusion. He says it is temporary. It is illusion, but for our practical purposes, it's temporary. It will be there for some time. Like yesterday I was driving on the road, and I saw a big dent in front of the car that was behind the car that was going before me. And this was a very nice Tesla, right? Something like $80,000 car. Big dent. So think about the day he was very happy when he bought that car. And now with the big dent, do you think he's still happy? So there is a saying in America.
That is the source of misery for every time we see
It increases. Anandam Vardhanam keeps on increasing, but in the miserable direction. So yesterday somebody was telling me this. In a boat owner's life, there are 2 days, very happy days. You know what those 2 days are? In the boat owner's life.
2 days.
Yeah, he's only happy 2 days. The day he buys the boat and the day he sells the boat. Because there's so much misery. He has to put it on that trailer, hitch it to the truck, drive. He has to put a red flag in the back. What if the trailer separates and causes accident liability? Then he has to pay boat docking fees.
It's like my experience going to gym. Only 2 days.
Yeah, usually that's why gym fees are not very high, only $40 a month, $50. Why? Because they know that in a year you'll only come there 4 or 5 times maximum. So this misery in the material world is also temporary. So it's not like if you are crying, this crying will last forever. It won't last forever. It will go away at some point, right? Like people who have mother-in-laws know this. Mother-in-law will, when they get married, they go in. Mother-in-law will start troubling them, or at least they feel that mother-in-law is troubling. Mother-in-law feels daughter-in-law is troubling them. Why? Because they are 30 degrees apart from each other. Their culture is different, their culture is different. So you feel like it is torture. You literally feel like it is torture. But it's not. It is just a cultural gap between the 2 generations. So misery is also temporary. Initially you will feel that there's so much misery, and later on then you'll say, oh, after the mother-in-law passes away, she was so nice, She used to cook gulab jamun for me. She used to make rava dosa. I miss her now. After the mother-in-law passes away, they cry. Which is because they were actually good people. It's just that frequency doesn't match. It's impossible for 2 people's frequency in this material world to match. It's impossible, right? That's why you have so much problem with your boss at work. Because the boss is in one plane, you are in a different plane. He is in his own reflection or illusion, and you are in your own reflection or illusion. You think you are doing a fantastic job. He thinks you are doing a lousy job. Now, how do you reconcile these 2? It's a challenge. It's a challenge. And multiply that by 8 billion people on this planet. So miseries are multiplied 8 billion times. Because I have issue with you, you have issue with him, he has issue with him. So this whole chain, network, like all the neurons are connected to each other. So people say artificial intelligence. So I'm going to write a paper, artificial intelligence and natural dumbness. Right? We want artificial intelligence, but we are all dumb. We are not even figuring out what is good for us in our own life. Right? We want to enjoy this reflection or illusion. And we know we are not going to succeed. Right? Who has succeeded? Nobody. Obama failed. Clinton failed. Biden is already failing. Right? Every day 1,200 migrants come from South America and Mexico into United States. And they cannot do anything about it. They cannot do anything about it. Trump wanted to build a wall. He failed. Biden is trying something else. He's failing. And the people who come in as immigrants, initially first 10 years, they are happy. After that, they get into this new miserable cycle because somebody will give them a loan, a mortgage loan. For the next 30 years, you are a slave of the financial industry. Actually, if we don't take these loans, America is not going to survive. We need migrants to prop up this country. If we don't take loan, this whole industry, like millions of jobs are at stake actually. 1/6 of American economy is financial system, 1/6 is automotive industry, 1/6 is Medicare. If you don't go to the doctor, it's big time trouble for the American economy, right? Like one surgery may cost $20,000. So how many people are making their livelihood? Doctors, nurses, the light bulb fellow, the electricity, the water, the sanitization cream, right? So they want you to fall sick. That's why when you want to eat meat or drink alcohol, they encourage it. Because if you become Krishna conscious, 1/6 of the industry will collapse overnight. Get it? They want you to eat meat, get colon cancer, surgery $20,000. If you don't eat meat, you won't get cancer. So how will the industry run? Same thing with alcohol. If you don't drink alcohol, your liver is in a very good condition. They want your liver to go bad so that the medical industry thrives. So medical industry, financial industry, these are all by design, right? So this illusion or reflection that Srila Prabhupada talks about is not from his own language, it's from Krishna's words, right? Urdhvamulam adashakam avyam Rahuravyayam chandamsi yasya parnani yastam vedasa vedavid. Okay, so what else does Krishna say? Okay, let's go to the next verse. Adaschodvam prastrastasya shaka. Guna pravriddha vishaya pravalaha adascha mulani anusantatani karmanubandhini manushya-loke. So this manushya-loka is karmanubandha, right? So we do karma and we are trapped. We are all trapped here. So translation, the branches of this tree extend downward and upward, nourished by the three modes of material nature. Nourished. See the point? These branches are nourished by these three modes. So there's like water, fertilizer. The twigs are the objects of the senses. The tree also has roots going down, and these are bound to the fruitive actions of the human society. Fruitive action means something that generates fruit. Like if you go to office and work, you get salary. That's the fruit of your labor. So we are all doing fruitive activity because we want some fruit. It's not like, okay, boss, I like you, I won't take any salary. Will you do that? Go to office but no salary needed. We want fruit, right? We all want fruit. So because we want the fruit, those fruitive actions represent the twigs and the branches of this illusory tree. So the root is up, urdhva moolam, adashakam. The leaves are down. And what are these leaves nourished by? Or the twigs? By the watering of the three modes, sattva guna, rajoguna, tamoguna. Then you are saying, there is this tree, there is this, three modes of material nature. Who am I? You are just floating from one branch to the other branch, life after life. One life you are on this branch, next life you are on this branch, next life you are on that branch. But what is the purpose? The purpose is ultimately we have to cut down these branches, go to the root, get liberated, and never again come down. But are we pursuing that? What are we all worried? If I don't work, boss will lay off and I won't get H1, 30 days. After that I have to go to India, right? All these challenges. If you have green card, different challenges. If you have citizenship, different challenges, right? So shooting in schools is very common in America. It's almost like population reduction program. How do you reduce population? Give everybody guns. So progressively, population comes down.
Yeah.
So, let's read the purport, what Prabhupada says. The description of banyan trees further explained here. The branches are spread in all directions. In the lower parts, they are variegated manifestations of living entities, human beings, animals, horses, cows, dogs, cats, etc. These are situated on the lower parts of the branches, whereas on the upper parts are the higher living form of entities, the devatas or demigods, Gandharvas, and many other higher species of life. So when you go to the higher level of this tree, you find devatas, Gandharvas, so on. Right? Sometimes you find a tract of land is barren for want of sufficient water, and sometimes a tract is very green. Similarly, where particular modes of material nature are proportionately greater in quantity, the different species of life are manifested accordingly. So along this hierarchy, there are different people. At the highest is Satyaloka. When you come down, Tapaloka, Janaloka, Maharloka, then Swargaloka, then Bhuvarloka, then Bhuloka, and then Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Talatala, Rasatala, Mahatala, Patala. So these 14 planetary systems. We are always moving in those. The tips of the branches are the senses, ears, nose, eyes. Right? If I take away your eyes, your ears, your nose, and your tongue, then you have nothing to do, right? You have anything to do? There's nothing to do. These are endpoints. Just like in information technology, you have API endpoints. And then you send a JSON file on top of it, like that. So similarly, these are endpoints interacting with world. The subsidiary roots are attachments and aversions, which are byproducts of different varieties of suffering and sense enjoyment. The tendencies towards piety and impiety are considered to develop from these secondary roots, which spread in all directions. So when we want to do sense enjoyment, Indriya Tripti, that's when what we do? We do sinful activity, right? Piety and impiety come from the desire to do something, right? If you don't have any desire to do anything, then there is no pious, no impious. There's nothing to do. The real root is from Brahmaloka, and the other roots are in the human planetary systems. After one enjoys the result of virtuous activities, he comes down to his earth, renews his karma or fruitive activities for promotion. See, this is very, very important line. He comes down to this earth, we are all in this earth, and renews his karma. What does renew mean? We are creating more karma once we come to the material world. Or fruitive activities for promotion. So when we do more karma, again we'll go back to heaven. So from heaven to earth, and earth to heaven to earth, we are just continuously in this Ferris wheel. Like if you go to Six Flags, there is a Ferris wheel. In this Ferris wheel, sometimes you are up, sometimes you are down. Yeah? So any thoughts, any comments on that topic? It's a very big topic.
There are people who are self-satisfied.
In what sense are they self-satisfied?
They achieved what they dreamed in their life, and they got a job, good house, and they are satisfied with that.
It's not satisfied. It is just like a certain plane. They are just there. That's it. They are not doing anything else with their life.
Be happy, like they don't have any more desires. Means whatever they.
No, there are a lot of desires.
Maybe
First desire, you will not see it outbound. The first desire is to protect what they have, right? Say suppose your target is $2 million, right? Across your bank balance and 401k and this and that. Once you reach 2 million, what is your next action? You have to protect it. If you don't protect it, it will go away, right? Because what will happen, Jeremy Powell will either raise interest rates or lower interest rates. So your money will lose value or raise value.
The people who are working in government sectors, they get pension. So they are satisfied with that pension.
That's what you think. It's not satisfaction. So like somebody asked this question to His Holiness Hanumat Prasaka Maharaj. Oh, some people are very contented. You know what Maharaj said? The contentment of a pig. Pig is rolling in mud and it thinks it is heaven. Right? Indra was once cursed to come down to this world as a pig. And he was happily playing in the mud with his wife and kids and all that. Pigs have a lot of kids, right? 10, 12, like that later. So Narada Muni said, hey, Mr. Indra, what are you doing here? Time to go back to your Indraloka. He said, this is heaven. The puddle of mud is heaven. And see, my wife is here, my kids are there. I'm rolling nicely in mud. Right? Indra says that. Indra is a king of heaven, not just any normal person. So people are satisfied wherever they are. Does it mean it's good for them? It's not good, right? You have to understand what did Krishna say in the previous verse. With the sword of detachment, you should cut down this tree of activity. And then do what? Pursue devotional service. Initially you are pursuing devotional service and attachment in parallel. But at some point attachment has to come down and devotional service has to go up. Right? In a cup, if there's half water, what is the remaining half filled with? Air. So you have to get rid of the air and fill remaining water. Then the cup is full. That's why we are here in this room. Why are we here? To understand the process of devotional service, right? Otherwise we would be watching Super Bowl or whatever, something on TV. That's why it's called the idiot's box, right? It will guaranteed make you an idiot. In one lifetime guaranteed. So yeah, so it's not contentment. It is the contentment of a pig, which means it is not good for them, right? They're just there, just floating along.
As long as they are happy.
They're happy, but what? What are they going to do with their life?
They are not bothered about it.
Yeah, so they are not bothered because they're ignorant. So we have to teach them some additional facts, right?
Don't know the real purpose of
So first you have to learn, and then you teach it to others. Like I was in Texas, a town called Frisco, Texas. So there they have 7 bhakti vrikshas. Each devotee will take over one subdivision. He'll call all the people in the subdivision to his home for some birthday or this or that. And likewise he will go to their birthdays and slowly give them prasadam, give them Bhagavad Gita, knowledge. So the target is each person, each devotee will influence an entire subdivision. Right? Every subdivision has what? 25, 30, 50, 100 homes. So then you basically teach everybody in that subdivision. So that should be your duty. So you learn the Bhagavad Gita and then teach it to everybody in your subdivision. You cannot be Jagat Guru. If you are subdivision Guru, that is good enough.
you teach at home.
No, you cannot teach your home, right? You cannot preach to your wife. Kids also won't listen to you. They will listen to maybe this Prabhu or that Prabhu. And your kids will listen to him. But your kids will never listen to you. That is guaranteed. And don't ever try to teach to your own wife or husband. It's very difficult. Because intimacy breeds contempt, right? You're so close to each other that knowledge doesn't flow like that.
And just to pose a question, because that's a common thing. Most of the people, even they might think that they are in Sattva. Here, the 3 modes are also binding. Right? It's not only Rajoguna and Tamoguna, Sattva-guna.
Sattva-guna is also.
People who do even pious activities. In fact, that's why they don't even think about liberation, because they're happy doing what they do. Like,
yeah, they'll play. Somebody's playing music. They're very happy.
Yeah.
But they're not even thinking of liberation, although they're good people, right? They are not like drunkards or,
Yeah.
Yeah,
And when it's a matter of time, their state of happiness will be disrupted. It could be their own end of their life. It could be somebody that because they're happy with this current stage, but the material world never stays stable. So you just have to wait until they're disturbed.
Yeah, in Texas, we have tornadoes. I mean, I moved there, right? As you know. So what happened? One home, the 4 walls are there, the roof flew away. So you can be very contented, huh? Playing nice Beethoven music or whatever, and the roof is gone. So just because you're good doesn't mean the world is static. The world is constantly changing. Like his point, right? So you have to basically pursue a higher truth. If you don't, then you are finished. When you are swimming upstream, if you stop swimming, if you stop shaking your hands, what will happen? No, you'll not drown. I mean, you may, but you'll be pushed downstream.
Downstream.
Unless you apply equal and opposite force, you are not even there in the same position. Then if you apply greater force, then you go forward. That's how it is. Material world is, you are swimming upstream. So you have to constantly. Yeah, it's a slippery slope with water being thrown on you at 24 newtons speed, force. Anything else? Srila Prabhupada ki jai.